The teacher sheet.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I do have a resolution. I'm sorry. This is a resolution. I have an amendment to that I'd like you to consider, and I think
Like to adopt the amendment to discuss the bill in the amended form.
Yes, sir.
We'll get that amendment out.
Senator White provided me with a tuna sandwich, and
Members,
I'm feeling good now.
Ms. Johnson is rapidly sending out the amendment number 3268. You can explain the amendment, Senator Boudreaux?
Yes, sir. Basically, 4 amendments that we discussed, and the intent all along was to in no way direct the department to do anything that they wouldn't do. This is to bring another opportunity to bring awareness to another program that we feel strongly about, the community school model. And so these 4 amendments would change some of the original language in the resolution to basically make it crystal clear that we're working in conjunction with the department and with the individuals who have asked us to bring this resolution forward. And so you basically have those 4 amendments in front of you to put the bill in the posture that I think we all agree is that there are a number of programs, and if you would adopt that, then I'll move to my next.
Members, there are questions on the amendment? Any questions? Any discussion? I move that we adopt Amendment 3268 without objection. That amendment is adopted. Senator Boudreaux with the bill in the amended
Thank you, Mr.
form.
Chair, and Ms. Moe and Ms. Bentley are both joining me here because, again, you know, when we talk about moving that needle, we have to work together, and I'm proud to say that we have worked together on this one. What I've asked Ms. Bentley to do is just to specifically with this, because this is one of the community school model. It's just one of those opportunities that are out there, and as we've said before, one size does not fit all. But I think the more education, the more awareness. I think Senator Clater was here a couple weeks ago talking about the website and how we communicate. Now, I thought in my opening, what all I wanted Ms. Bentley to do is provide us with some information, and for those people who are listening, as to where to from here with this, and through our conversation, she's clear that we're just asking the department to do the same thing they're doing, not to promote one program or another one, but to bring awareness to this one that I bring today. So, and I appreciate her efforts and her communication with me on that.
Ms. Bentley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Erin Bindley, representing the department on this one, and we did speak with Senator Boudreaux about some concerns that we had, and we are very appreciative for the amendments that have been proposed. Did have some concerns that in its original form, it seemed to endorse one particular model when there are actually dozens of models and dozens of partners that are out there that are partnering with low-performing schools to execute improvement plans. And we want to make sure that as those plans move forward, we are providing equal awareness and information about all of the various strategies that are out there. Senator Boudreaux did ask me just to provide some background on this. So when you see throughout this resolution that it refers to schools identified as needing comprehensive support and improvement, Bessie has a policy that it enacted to require schools that have been rated D or F for 3 consecutive years to have to submit an improvement plan to us. And there's a rubric that we use to evaluate that plan. There's an opportunity for those districts to apply for federal funding to implement those plans. And we do ask that they identify a model and, if necessary, a partner to work with to implement that plan. So I just wanted to provide that information because to date, we have already approved plans to improve 72 low-performing schools around the state in round 1 of this exercise. We will have the remaining almost 200 schools that have been identified as needing comprehensive support and improvement submit their plans to us, and we will announce the status of those plans in June, as well as funding opportunities. There's an opportunity for them to apply for federal funds. We've already awarded $8 million to school districts to implement these plans. These funds come from Title I. There's a requirement that states set aside 7% of their Title I funding to support school improvement for low-performing schools. So this would be one of the models. And I want to emphasize, even without this resolution, it is a model that is out there that if school districts choose to propose that, then we will put that through the process and evaluate it on its merits, just like we do any other model and any other plan that is submitted to us. So we appreciate the amendment, and I just wanted to provide that information on background. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bentley. I do have cards in support who wish to speak, and I see Ms. Moe is already at the table. Maria Harmon with Step Up Louisiana, if you'll take a seat there where Ms. Bentley is. And Cynthia Posey with the Federation of Teachers, but I think I saw Cynthia had to leave, so we'll put her as support, but does not wish to speak. I'm sorry, Aaron. I'm sorry. Senator Mizell had a question. And that's, I'm not.
I did. I did. On the, you said 72 schools had turned in plan. So just, is there a typical plan? Is it usually a plan of remediation? Is it, just give me an idea of what a typical plan would be. And I'm also curious whether you all just reject the plan as insufficient, or if you,
Provide the feedback.
Yeah. What, to what extent is the feedback?
There are a couple of things that their application has to have. We want to see that they've done a needs assessment because in order for you to propose a plan to make improvements, you have to be aware of what your challenges are, what your needs are. So there is a requirement that they first do a needs assessment, and then based on that needs assessment, we expect that the plan that they are putting forward is a plan that will address those targeted needs that have been identified. So, we want these plans to be tailored to meet those needs. We want to see that there's a budget that goes along with that there's a plan for execution, for leadership, for professional development if necessary, really tailored to making sure that this plan is successful to identify, to really tackle the things that cause the school to be struggling in the first place. We do evaluate all of these plans based on a rubric that we use for every single plan. We score those. The highest performing applications that are rated the highest have an opportunity to receive funding, federal funding, to support those plans. And where plans...
You mean the applications that were outstanding in what they are recommending?
Correct.
They kind of go to the top, and then you're willing to give them, invest more money in those plans. Okay.
Correct. And most of the plans that have been approved have also been approved for funding. There were a few that we approved, but we didn't felt were at that level because we do have limited funds. And so we're choosing to invest those funds in the plans that we think have the most potential for success. But where plans do fall short, and we did have some in the first round that did not meet expectations. We didn't tell them that they're denied. We told them they were deferred, and we are giving them some additional help to improve upon those plans so that in the next round, hopefully they will submit an improved application that will be able to be approved.
So you gave them like a participation trophy. Is that what you did? Yeah. So
We gave them extra help because in the end, we want all plans to be
Right.
approved because we need these issues addressed, and the goal of this is to not just tell them no and send them on their way. We want them to have a plan that they can execute to meet the needs of those students.
But just in your chair, and when you're looking at the schools that, I forget the term that was used, that have comprehensive academic, they need that. Do you see a correlation between the lack of funding, like are they on the lower tier of funding per child, or does it have no correlation at all?
I don't really think there's a correlation there. I mean, we see the same challenges in your wealthier districts and in your poorer districts. Challenges with using standards-aligned, high-quality curriculum and materials, providing high-quality professional development to your teachers. Those are needs in many areas across the state: rural, urban, poor, wealthy. Very common across the spectrum.
Yeah, thank you. I was curious.
Mr. Chair, I think these type conversations, and that's why I'd ask her to do that. As I'm learning, we all have those schools that need the additional assistance, but we hear a lot of negatives about what the department is not doing. But here is some opportunity to see firsthand what's actually available, how they're mentoring and tutoring and deferring and not just declining assistance. So as I'm learning through this and getting a greater appreciation for how we can stay engaged and connect our schools to the department, and conversely getting all of our stakeholders at the table to come together, and not it's us against them or why are we being rejected. So I just want to thank her and the department again for their role in this.
Thank you.
I have a question from Senator Appel.
Thank you. I mean, I don't have a problem with this resolution. I think it's great that we're looking at all models. The more, the better. But I want to share something with you. This is a lot more than just fixing a troubled school, because it's getting into all kinds of community issues and dental and healthcare and all kinds of stuff. When Katrina hit New Orleans, all the schools were destroyed. There was a big push to do this very same program for the rebuild. And what they found out was it was astronomically expensive. So they pretty much didn't do it. And it's just my experience. I mean, it needs to be looked at. I think it's probably, it would be great if we could afford it. But I think you're going to have to watch the cost, because all these things, I don't want to see all these other programs divert funds that should go to teaching, go to taking care of dental problems and learning about financial literacy and after-hours stuff. That's all I'm saying. So, and Bessie will look into all that.
That's great.
But it was a problem in New Orleans because the schools were like double or triple the amount of money. This was the capital cost.
Sure.
To build a school that was suitable for these applications than it was for a regular school. And so I think they went pretty much to the regular schools.
And Senator Appel, to your comment about needing to prioritize academics and instruction, as part of our redesign plan rubric, and this is something that, some people have raised, some people love this, some people who want to prioritize some of those other wraparound services and other issues, honestly may not be as happy about this, but we do require, as part of these plans, and we do evaluate them based on curriculum, professional development, and high-quality assessments that they use throughout the year to know if children are growing academically.
Yeah.
And so, from our perspective, those are critical, especially, these are DNF-rated schools, obviously, at the heart of their issues, and certainly, many things contribute to that, but we do have instructional, academic challenges at these schools. We have to prioritize that. And
Well, I
wanted
just
to let you know that we
would
do.
not want to see monies that are for classroom
Sure.
purposes get diverted to these other services. And maybe they won't. Maybe this is intended to be a separate funding stream for these things. I don't know.
Well,
But anyway, that's all.
And I'll comment on the process. I'm not speaking about the particular model
That's
described in here, but that's what we prioritize
Okay.
in the process.
Well, I think y'all should look at all models. Everything should be on the table. That's
No doubt
my
about it.
belief. So, thank you.
Thank you. Senator Appel. Senator White has a question.
Thank you. Just reading through, this is a concept that's starting to take place, and we're trying to study it and see if we can make our schools better and bring up our education level and keep more kids in school.
That is correct.
And if I may, Senator White, the community school model is not a new idea that's starting here. There are community schools all over the United States.
Right, I know. There's community schools, there are community school districts. And
Cincinnati's
I'm
one.
hoping that you keep down this path to support that.
Right.
I have created a community school district, which is the number 2 school district in the state now, that I think I've learned that they're going to have 90% graduation rate, that the African American children in that school district as a group test number 1 in the state of Louisiana. And it's so important for a community to buy in, and sometimes when the community helps take control and has input, they bring the education up tremendously. So it's worked very well in my district, and it worked very well in my district I represented, Zachary, because they're the number 1 and 2 school districts in the state, and they are community school districts, and they provide full public education. So I'm hoping, should in the future someone have to move to that model, that you and Ms. Posey can support that, because I've never been supported before by y'all. So I'm
Well,
hoping that.
and perhaps Ms. Moe or others could speak to this. My understanding, and again, just for information purposes, reading the resolution is, and I think, the term community schools is used in a lot of different ways. I think what's being proposed, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is there is also a branded model through the National Education Association that they call community schools model.
I understand
That's,
that. I do understand it.
That may be a little different than
and I hope
community
they
schools
understand
elsewhere.
there are community school districts all over the United States too, and the community buys in, and they're usually better.
I hear you loud and clear, and I agree with you, and that's been my point since I've been here. I think
I know it has been. That's why
one size should not fit all, and we
That's
need
right.
to respect that some things work better in some areas than other areas, and I hope to be that conduit to do what we're doing today, bring everybody to the table.
Well, you
for
always
one.
have. That's why I try to every time support you on what you do. But even the partnerships with the city governments, with the community based. I think that no one model fits everybody. And as I've told my superintendents in my areas, is if something's not working, like virtual, and you're bleeding, get you a virtual. Because people are demanding change in different models. And but it's good. I'm glad you changed it to where we didn't have no opposition, and everybody understands, and we start studying it and move more to these. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator White. Ms. Moe, would you like to speak? And Ms. Harmon, if you'll come to the table.
Debbie Moe, President of the Louisiana Association of Educators. It seems to me that the committee does seem to look favorably upon this model. It's a comprehensive model, and I do want to say that it is a little bit different than what they call communities in schools, where you have wraparound services. The community members, businesses come in and provide services. It is a little bit different. There are 4 mechanisms in the community school model that are necessary. First of all, you have to have a community school coordinator who is not the principal or the assistant principal or really even a teacher on campus. This is someone that would be leveraging all of the community resources that would be available to the school. Once that's done, the needs assessment has to be done, and you need to have at least a 75 to 85% return on those needs assessments from everybody. Students, faculty, community members, parents, etc. From this needs assessment comes the strategic plan, and then there's a community stakeholder board, which is not a school board. It's just people from the community who come in and monitor and administer the plan that is drawn up. The second part of a community schools is the strategies. Number 1, to strengthen the curriculum. That's the first thing that this community board will look at. They'll look at a curriculum that will fit that school. Second thing is improved student assessments that help teachers to teach. So the department's concern about what is needed in our schools is supported by the community schools model. The wraparound supports, of course, positive discipline practices, restorative practices, transformational parent and community engagement, and shared leadership philosophy. Those 6 strategies, combined with the 4 mechanisms, produce a transformational model. And there are many school districts throughout the United States that are using this. I'll just go over 2 that are in Maryland. Wolf Street Academy Elementary. In 2005, they ranked 77th. In 2015, they ranked 2nd. Chronic absenteeism in 2005 was 10%, 2015, 1.5%. After-school participation in 2005, about 50%. By 2015, it was 84%. Student mobility was 46.6% in 2005. In 2015, it's 8.8%. The most impressive piece about this particular elementary school is the fact that they were able to engage parents on a daily basis. They tried having morning meetings, and in 2005, there were very few of them. What they decided to do was invite the parents to come in and have breakfast with their children. And then when the children went to class, they would stay a little bit longer, a half hour to an hour, and they would discuss what's going on in the school. Every morning, this school has 40-plus parents who engage in that particular activity. Another school is Benjamin Franklin High School. In 2010, their enrollment was 226. In 2014, it doubled to 437. In 2010, their math proficiency was 21%. In 2014, it was 71%. I could go on and on. In fact, if the chair will allow me, I will send you this presentation, this PowerPoint, and you can share it with the rest of the committee.
I would certainly like for you to send it to us as opposed to going on and on.
I won't. I won't. I promise. I just wanted to give those examples.
Sure. I appreciate it, Ms. Poe. Thank you
The
very much.
community schools model does work. When it's implemented with fidelity, it works.
And you have a question from Senator Mizell.
I do. So the coordinator, I was following what you were saying, because a solution is what we all want.
Right.
Okay. So the coordinator replaces the principal?
No.
So they're
No.
in tandem. So you've got a set of staff over here that are there to solve the problem while the rest of and is that coordinator a paid position?
It is a paid position.
So you've got the principal in the role that he or she may have had for a while, and then the coordinator who comes in and basically the needs assessment is based on the overall needs of the school or the individual needs of the students.
Basically, it's a needs assessment of not only the school, but also the community. What does the community need? What do businesses need from the school? So it's a collaborative effort where all of the school personnel are also being informed by the business community as well as parents, everyone in the community.
Yeah. So it's changing the whole structure of the community, basically bringing everything up a higher tier. So, but I mean, we're looking at addressing the academic needs of the individual students. We were just talking about that with the needs assessment, and this takes a more global approach of the whole school. So it's going in a totally different direction than of repairing the academic needs of I mean, you're going to have I see it in the long term.
Yeah.
But in the short term, what we're trying to do is to solve the academic needs of the children that aren't sufficient for them to succeed individually or for the school to succeed. So,
I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
but
in
one's
this
more
particular-
immediate. We're looking, one's immediate and one's going to be a long term.
Well, I think that this is a model that can help with the short term as well, because the very first strategy that they would attack would be curriculum, and the second is the testing assessments that go with the curriculum. So it's not mutually exclusive.
So who pays for the coordinator? The local or it would
Usually
have to
the
be
school
local?
district does. Usually the school district does. However, this coordinator is not there to replace anyone, not the principal, not the assistant
So
principal.
you're funding a whole
But
new
what
position.
what the coordinator does is they are leveraging all of the resources in the community and bringing them to bear on the school district, or the school itself. And by the way, the community school is a comprehensive model. It not only teaches children, but it reaches out to their parents. And many of these community schools have programs, maybe after-school programs, not only for the children, but for parents as well. If you have problems with, your maybe your socioeconomic status for many of your parents is low, where you want to give them some kind of maybe financial help, where you bring in people from banks or from financial companies that help them to learn to budget or how to manage money, et cetera. Parenting classes. We have a lot of our young people who are parents, sometimes even before they graduate high school. They need help with parenting skills. You can provide that in the school.
So it's encompassing all the
Yeah.
needs
Right.
of the
And
whole
that's what I was going to
brings
say,
everything
Senator
together.
Mazel. I think the model is a holistic approach to it, but then there are, and that's why I asked Ms. Bentley to start off with us. When they look at funding and where we're going with this, the priorities are going to be curriculum and
yeah,
the
yeah,
advancement
because, I
of
mean,
that. I think what Ms. Mo shared
the
is
first hurdle's got to be to
Exactly.
prepare those kids
Right.
that's our first responsibility.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And the purpose of the resolution is to bring awareness to that entire process. But that's the holistic approach. And the department is going to keep us on the right path and the right lane to get to our desired outcome.
Appreciate it, because
Yeah.
it was
Correct.
went in a different direction than I had expected, honestly. Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Senator
Chairman.
Mizell. Ms. Harmon.
Yes, again, my name is Maria Harmon. I'm one of the co-directors for Step Up Louisiana. We're in great support of the Sustainable Community Schools model. We find that it's extremely necessary for communities who are essentially financially deprived. And we find that this holistic model essentially benefits kids. Many of the kids in New Orleans who are in failing schools tend to come from very impoverished areas. Many of them are homeless. Many of them do not have access to sufficient health care. And these can be impediments for them to be in tune and pretty much perform at their best academically. So we see that the Sustainable Community Schools model will be able to reach all of those immediate needs so that child can be a learning machine in the classroom.
Thank you, Ms. Harmon. I do have cards in support who do not wish to speak. I do have cards in opposition. I will be reading the cards who support who do not wish to speak as those in opposition and wish to speak come to the table. Caroline Romer, Louisiana Association of Public Charter Schools, and Nathan Hoffman. I'm sorry, Mr. Hoffman does not wish to speak. I do have cards in support who do not wish to speak. Cynthia Posey with the Louisiana Federation of Teachers, Benjamin Zucker with Step Up Louisiana, Florentina Staggers with FFLIC, Ashiana Bigard with FFLIC, Gina Womack with FFLIC, Les Landon with the LFT, and Devontae Lewis with the Louisiana Budget Project. Cards in opposition who wish to speak, Caroline Romer with Louisiana Association of Public Charter Schools. Ms. Romer.
Thank you, Caroline Romer, Louisiana Association of Public Charter Schools. We put a red card in on this bill prior to seeing the amendments, which I still have not read. It does sound like, through the comments made by Ms. Bindley, that bill has changed somewhat and may alleviate some of our concerns. But
Mr.
I
Boudreaux,
felt
would you give Ms. Romer a green card?
no, I'm keeping my red one. Thank you. I just felt compelled to give a little more background from a different perspective on this bill. This model is a model that is promoted by the National Education Association, the NEA, as well as the local union here in Louisiana. They have presented this model in several Louisiana communities, including Shreveport, Lafayette, and Lake Charles. And through those presentations, they have time and time again talked about this model as a replacement for charter schools and or the voucher program. And if you go to the NEA's website, they do have a tab specific to community schools. And I'd like to read just very briefly directly from that website, which says that school choice is about schools that take public money and hand it over to private entities that have little or no accountability to taxpayers and that pick and choose their students. Our children deserve more than cold-hearted, profit-driven approaches to education, and there's a great model in place. public community schools. So I felt compelled to just be on the record that this is absolutely a strategy by the unions at a national level as we move away from No Child Left Behind to ESSA to push out other options on the table. And that's what we were very opposed to in the original posture of this bill, that it was choosing one specific model, let's call it, that may work in a district, and we were very opposed to that. When you look at, again, this website and what they speak to, it says that they do have their standing principles that they believe community schools are addressing, and I find them interesting. There's 6 of them. Strive towards equity, foster partnerships, accountability for results using data-driven performance measurements, setting high expectations for all students, embracing diversity, and more local decision-making. Personally, and through LAPCS, we find it disturbing that it would require a resolution or direction by Bessie to school districts to seek those principles in their schools. Is that not what public schools are intended to do to begin with? And so, again, we enjoy working with Senator Boudreaux and have worked very closely with him over the years and on several bills. But in this case, we feel that this is nothing less than a wolf in sheep's clothing, and that this, again, is an effort to further oppose other options that may be out there for families. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Romer. Senator Boudreaux, the board is clear. And you may close on your resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I respect the Ms. Romer's position on it. I have a lot of confidence in the Department of Education. I'm not going to bring something that is not forthcoming and not best to move education. I'm not in tune and with any of the national movement. I'm here in Louisiana, just like you are, one of the senators, trying to make a difference. You heard Ms. Harmon, and she talked about the New Orleans area. I don't represent the New Orleans area, but I thought this was important. I thought, as Senator White said, there are different, one size does not fit all. This resolution is basically only a resolution that we clarified at the onset that we want to promote all the different models, and we're not in any way directing the Board of Education, Bessie, or anybody to one model over the other. I brought this resolution again just to bring awareness. I'm not involved in any movement by the unions to discredit our charter schools, and I just wish, one day we can get to the point where we can bring a simple resolution and allow people who do not fit into one size to be able to express an opinion or ask for assistance in promoting. Not to put one over the other, but to just bring that level of awareness up. And that's my simple objective of bringing this resolution today. Again, at the end of the day, Bessie's not going to approve something that's going to tear down the system that we have placed up. It's not going to have us going backwards instead of forward. So I'm okay with where Bessie